This is the Open Floor NBA podcast where we talk about the league and all the big stories going on in it. Joining me, as she does every week, and will continue to do every week during this NBA season, from Fox Sports 1, All the Smoke, Monumental Sports Network, the great Rachel Nichols. And Rachel, I feel like in that intro, did my Boston accent come out? Did I just speak Boston there for a minute?
I think it's adorable you think your Boston accent is ever in.
I worked hard to reduce it. I remember I was working when I first moved to New York,
right?
And I was working. My first TV opportunities was with SNY,
yes.
And I'll never forget. Like, a producer there was like, "You have to not talk like that. Like, you have to change this accent." So I worked from then on, age like 24, 25 on, to at least sheathe it, so to speak, and bring it out when necessary, which is usually
I'm
like
sure it's
10
better than
beers
it
deep.
was.
Slightly. But whenever I go home and I'm around my parents.
Yeah,
like,
your parents.
My parents, like, it's just
Your
like,
parents?
"Guys, get your car out of the driveway." It's like, all right. Did I used to talk like that? Wow. That's.
Well, look, they say that for television, the ideal accent is the mid-Atlantic accent, which, by the way, is exactly where I'm from. Just proving once again that Washington, D.C. and the D.C. area is the perfect, idyllic, Socratic place to be.
Yes. That's what they say today, for sure. Definitely, that's what they're saying about Washington, D.C. today.
Hey.
All right. We got a lot to get into on the show. We are recording this just after the West Coast media days have wrapped up. We've got some big topics to get into, of course, beginning with the LA Clippers. Kawhi Leonard speaking for the first time. But Rachel, I just got to bring up first the most jarring image I saw on media day.
Okay.
Utah. Kevin Love in a Utah Jazz jersey. Did you see that?
I think it was jarring for Kevin Love also.
I mean, I never thought Kevin Love was going to set foot in a Jazz practice gym. I just assumed he'd get waived. Doesn't make any money. I assumed they'd waive him, but obviously, a couple things. I think Kevin would want to be sure that he has a landing spot before he gets waived, and certainly the Jazz, I bet, would like to see if they can trade and get something for him, back in return, rather than eating that money. But I didn't think we get here to this point, like that Kevin Love was wearing the Jazz uniform at Utah Jazz Media Day. Incredible.
Yeah, not what we expected, but here's the world we have. I would think maybe if nobody made a run at him this summer, do you think that he's going to be more one of those pieces someone adds later on when have a better sense of what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, especially like if an injury happens at a power spot, maybe not where he would step in and play like he would back in his prime years, but could be a reliable backup. Yeah, I think that's probably, I mean, you could probably say the same thing with Russell Westbrook, who is not with any team right now. He's probably going to have to wait and see if an injury happens or a team decides they need more veteran depth and want to take a flyer on Westbrook. It's kind of where we are with these aging stars at this stage. So
we can talk about it later as it possibly rears its head or not, but I don't know. I'm very curious about a guy like Russell Westbrook. Kevin Love is in an NBA system right now. And no matter what happens with him, if someone decides down the road, hey, we're Kevin Love short of whatever, he has been with an NBA team this entire time. Russell Westbrook, especially since his athleticism, as always predicted, right? I mean, aging is aging, isn't what it used to be. If you're out of the NBA system for a while, I just wonder if we'll see him get back in. Do you think Russell Westbrook will ever play in the NBA again?
I want to say yes, only because I think there eventually will be a team that needs a jolt of offense or needs veteran guard depth that will take a flyer on him. I'm going to say yes, but I don't get the sense right now of. Now I don't talk to every team, but the ones that I've talked to, there's not been even discussions about bringing Russell Westbrook in at this point. So we'll see what happens with him. We will talk more about him if we get into the regular season, he's not around. He'll definitely be a topic of conversation. But I want to start this show with the LA Clippers. I just came from Clippers Media Day, quite the extravaganza there at the Intuit Dome. And a lot of eyeballs that were on it. I thought it was going to be the most interesting media day in terms of, what we were going to potentially get out of it, of any that's in the league, because it was going to be the first time that we were going to hear directly from Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations with the Clippers, and of course the first time we were going to hear from Kawhi Leonard since the story broke that the Clippers allegedly were funneling money to a environmental company that was then giving the money to Kawhi Leonard to circumvent the salary cap. Now, unfortunately, it was not a robust Q&A with Kawhi Leonard when it came to this particular topic. There was a pretty good exchange with ESPN's Ramona Shelburne. I want to play that right now.
Understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company that's been talked aspiration, and did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Like of the contract you signed, how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services?
I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you?
I don't think it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen. So,
you were named as like the largest creditor in the bankruptcy filing, right? Did you actually get the money that was owed to you in the contract, or?
No, but the company went belly up. It was fraud, as everybody knows. If you want any more questions or more details about that company, you need to ask the owner or whoever else is involved in the fraud that went on.
Right, I think they said they owed you $7 million or something, right?
I'm not sure. I gotta look back at the books, but no, it's more than that for sure.
Do you have any idea of how much you actually made on that?
No, it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
I got to tell you, Rachel, before we get deeper into what Kawhi did say, I have to vent a little bit about not getting the opportunity to ask him more. I was there, obviously, at Clippers Media Day. I was eager to ask a question, and my question was going to be a follow-up to one of the topics that Ramona brought up, but I didn't get a chance to ask him. Kawhi was whisked in and whisked out all within around 7 minutes, which is on the low end for some of these guys. For context, LeBron on Media Day spoke for 15 minutes. The other guys that were there, 10-ish minutes.
I feel like 10 is the floor usually, right?
Agreed. They got Kawhi in and they got Kawhi out. And I don't, no disrespect to my media brethren, but I don't understand why anyone was asking anything but aspiration-connected questions, trying to get to the root of it. Because, like, Kawhi's answers were basically to brush it off to conspiracy theories and clickbait. Those are the two things he brought up over and over again. Just saying, like, basically he's saying fake news is what he's saying. He's saying
old news, right? He said this is new to you guys, but this is old to us.
Well, let's start there then. You saw what he said and what he didn't say. What stood out to you?
I thought it was interesting that at least once we did get a clear denial from Lawrence Frank, and at least once, and that was while Lawrence was reading his statement, and at least once we got a clear denial from Kawhi Leonard. And this is what he said. He said, the NBA is going to do their job. None of us did no wrongdoing. That's it. We invite the investigations. It's not going to be a distraction for me or my team. What was weird to me is that if you're going to come out and say that, as clearly as Kawhi did say that, and you're going to come out as strongly and clearly as Lawrence Frank did in his statement, where he said multiple times, we didn't do anything wrong, how come in the answers to live questions was it so much more vague and just sort of sounding kind of shifty? One of the things that we heard Steve Ballmer say during his initial interview with Ramona Shelburne, one of the things we heard today, again from Lawrence Frank, clearly someone has told them this is what you should say is, we all know the rules, right? We've heard this now from multiple Clippers people. We all know the rules. Kawhi knows the rules. Dennis knows the rules. We all know the rules. That's an answer to a direct question of, did you do this? The answer has been, we all know the rules. And that's what confused me, is if you're going to come out at least one time and say, we didn't do anything, why not be more clear and decisive in the Q&A portion where you can just say, no, there's nothing to this. We didn't do it. This didn't happen. Kawhi, as you point out, said, oh, there was more to the story with how much, whether I did or didn't do anything for that endorsement. Well, why not talk about it?
This was my issue. And that was going to be my follow-up question, because my antenna went up. I had a few things I wanted to ask, but my antenna went up when he denied the part of the story that he didn't do anything for aspiration. And the reality is that this story probably goes away if he did one thing. Just one thing. Like if he put out a tweet, if he showed up at a signing. If he planted a damn tree in his backyard and told somebody about it, then this would probably go away. Maybe people would still have their suspicion, but hey, it's an endorsement deal. He did almost nothing, but he did do something, so there's really nothing we can do about it. The fact is, most people believe that he did nothing, that he got $7 million per year to do nothing. And he did nothing at this press availability to explain any of that away. Did nothing to explain that away. That is the ball game right there. That is the story. And it was just kind of, well, it was maddening for me not to get the opportunity to ask that specific question. I hope that, I think they're going to San Diego this weekend. I'm not going down there. But like, I hope somebody asks that question during the week, because that is the ball game right there, Rachel. If he did something, then he's able to point to that and said, I did something for this endorsement deal. If he did nothing, it is impossible to explain why he was getting $7 million per year. Let's keep repeating that. $7 million per year to do nothing. That's the ball game.
But that's the thing that I don't understand, is to come out and say we did nothing wrong. And Kawhi came out and said we didn't do anything wrong. And Lawrence Frank came out and said we did anything wrong. Why not be clear about the whole thing? Because they're sitting up there and being like, well, we know the rules, or, oh, Kawhi being like, I'm not explaining all of that. And there's a lot of dancing around it. Just come out and say, here is what happened. And that's what is confusing to me, is that they've got one declarative sentence and the rest a bunch of dancing around. And it just makes it feel suspicious when, according to them, it doesn't have to. They keep telling us, we didn't do anything wrong. There's no there. We welcome an investigation. You're going to find out. If all of that's true, and I don't have any reason not to believe them, tell us the whole truth. That's
but isn't that why you don't have any reason not to believe them? But when they're dancing around this stuff,
well, that's what
makes
I mean.
you suspicious.
When they're saying all of that stuff, I have no reason not to believe them, right? It's clear, it's messaging, all of that stuff. So then when you're asked about it, when there's follow-up questions, don't take me off of that. Don't start dancing around. Don't stop, answering questions. Provide actual information, because I can start from the place of your statement and say, great, these have been reliable people in the past. I believe their statement because this is what they're telling us clearly and concisely. We welcome an investigation. We've done nothing wrong. This will show we've done nothing wrong. That's all pretty decisive language. Then why dance around it? Why not provide specifics afterward? Because you're taking me off my starting point of saying, hey, this is an NBA team. I mean, we all start from the place of thinking these NBA teams wouldn't do something so brazen and crazy as circumvent the salary cap to this degree, right? We're just assuming, that's been the assumption, that all 30 of these teams have operated every year without circumventing the salary cap. That's where we're starting from. And then they give this big statement saying, we didn't do it. We welcome an investigation. There's no there. This will show we were conned. We didn't participate in this. Well, if you're going to say all that, provide more information. And I do understand there's an active NBA investigation. I get it.
Yeah, but on that, Rachel, like that one, like who cares? Like the active investigation stuff drives me crazy. Like, this isn't a criminal investigation. You're not under a gag order. There's no court of law here. This is an investigation that you can talk about. You don't have. What I mean. Yeah, I think they don't want to talk about it, or people don't want to talk about it, because anything they say could potentially further incriminate them. If they offer up any specifics, that could open doors that people could look into. I mean, look, the one person that's out there defending them is friggin' Mark Cuban, who won't stop talking and won't stop tweeting and won't stop defending them. He is the ultimate mouthpiece for the Clippers and Steve Ballmer in all this, because every time Pablo Torre drops a new piece of information, he did so again on Monday, a little nugget, a little more information that's out there about this story. Mark Cuban comes out and writes a 10,000-word Twitter post about it and explains why Pablo is wrong about this. Why are the Clippers not pushing back in the same way that Mark Cuban is pushing back? Again, it's not a criminal proceeding. It's not a court of law. It's an NBA investigation that you can talk about if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, that is my question. And obviously a frustrating day for those of you at Clippers Media Day.
Yeah, it just, I don't, like, just all I want is one example. Like one. Maybe that won't satisfy everybody, but if you can offer up.
I disagree with you. I don't think this goes away at all with that example. I think it's a great question. I'm disappointed you didn't get to ask it, and I would like to have heard him answer it. The question is super valid, but I don't think this goes away. It doesn't really matter. Let's say he tweeted 3 times a year. Let's say that was the story when Pablo first broke the story. It was, he tweeted 3 times a year. Nobody would have thought that was still justified for $7 million a year. I don't think that he can show he did something that's going to make us all go.
Probably not.
Here are these
Probably
suspicious
not.
payments. I think we're way down the rabbit hole and that road now. I think it's become a lot more complicated than that. I still would have liked to know the answer to the question, but I think there's just mounting and mounting financial transactions that the Clippers are going to have to answer for.
You're probably right that it doesn't go away entirely and people wouldn't believe it. But I think that a tweet or a tree planting or, I don't know, a t-shirt that he's wearing, I think that gives the NBA cover. Right? The NBA can say, well, it's, it wasn't much, but it was something. He did something and we really can't prove anything. So on to the next. The Clippers, they're almost operating like they're hoping people forget about this. That it's like, we're the Clippers. Nobody cared about us before this. Like maybe in a couple of weeks, nobody's going to care about this anymore. And look, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Maybe they get all their guys on the court. We start talking more about Kawhi and James Harden and all the guys they brought in this offseason and all things they were trying to steer everybody towards on Media Day. I just want to hear the answers to these specific questions about the $7 million. And the other thing that bothered me, as it continues to come to me, but the other thing that bothered me is it just seems like nobody's they're acting like nobody's talking to each other internally. Like,
right.
do you not have a sit down with Kawhi? It all when Ballmer told Ramona on ESPN, we haven't talked to Kawhi about it. Why wouldn't you? Has there not been a come to Jesus moment where you're talking to these guys? If you didn't do anything, do you not talk to these guys about what happened in this particular situation, how you can get it worked out? There's just still so much confusion right now with this story. And I thought Lawrence Frank did a pretty good job. I asked him some direct questions. I thought he did a pretty good job in answering as best as he probably could. I just thought Kawhi did an abysmal job of clearing this up. And when you start blaming things on conspiracy theories and clickbait, just go to bed. That's enough. That's not going to convince anybody that this story, which was extremely thoroughly reported and vetted from start to finish, is some kind of conspiracy theory in clickbait. It's not from an anonymous Twitter user. It's from a reporter that's done this before, that just took down the NFL Players Union before. So, this is not some minor thing. I thought his pushback was weak. I just thought it was weak, and he didn't answer the fundamental question: can he name one thing that he did to promote this company that was paying him $7 million? That's all I got on this one for right now. Not forever, but...
You said that you hope someone asks Kawhi that later in the week. I can guarantee you that the Clippers, I'm sure, will come out and say, great, asked and answered. We're not talking about this anymore. If you have a question about aspiration, refer it to this corporate X or Y. I don't think anyone's asking Kawhi another question about this, or they certainly ask, but I don't think he's answering another question about this. And I do think after a while, once the mechanism of the season starts up, people will be talking about what's going on in the court with the Clippers, and the oxygen on this will die out to some degree. But here's the thing that's such a catch-22 for everyone. The Clippers are hosting the All-Star game. Yep. So this cannot, while it might ebb in terms of the interest in this and the conversation around this for the next couple of months, I do think starting in January, we're going to start talking again about where's the investigation? What's the status of the investigation? Every time there's a clip shown on a non-sports sort of national news forum, they're going to say, and the Clippers who are under investigation for X, Y, and Z. That's where the NBA and the Clippers are sort of going to run into all of this right all over again. So I'm very curious to see what happens there.
There's also Pablo, too, and I don't know what else he's got. He clearly has a trove of information. He has a lot of people talking to him about this. So his ability to keep this in the news, I think, is a variable as well. Well, everybody knows that there are things you can do to reduce monthly costs and improve your finances. But who has time to go through all their expenses and decide what to trim? With Rocket Money crunching the numbers for you, leveling up your money game gets way easier. Now, there have undoubtedly been a lot of ads that you have listened to from people that have not used the product. Let me tell you something. I have used this product many times. I used this product very recently as I tried to get my house in order and either renegotiate or cancel a whole bunch of subscriptions. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have Rocket Money taking care of all this stuff for me. It has been an invaluable tool in my financial existence. It shows you all your expenses in just one place, including the subscriptions you forgot about. If you see a subscription you no longer want, Rocket Money will help you cancel it. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goal faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/openfloor today. That's rocketmoney.com/openfloor. All right, this was, Rachel, the first time that I have chosen the Clippers over the Lakers in Media Day. The Lakers Media Day usually a lot more interesting. Certainly more stories tend to come out of it. LeBron is always captivating, but I had to watch the video on YouTube. I watched the LeBron video before we started recording this. Very jovial mood LeBron was in. Feeling good at, age 40, going into his age 41 season. Happy with the team, happy playing for Luka, kind of punted on any questions about his future. Did you have any takeaways from Laker Media Day and LeBron in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I was there the other day when JJ Redick was talking about LeBron being in such a good headspace, and we've heard that recently within the last month, and you can always tell on social media, right? Gone are the I'm taking a photo with my Cleveland home hat on, or I'm at the Cleveland Cavaliers practice facility. Gone are the I'm here at this or that little social media messaging. Instead, for the last month, we've seen happy LeBron playing golf and doing sort of other things, traveling and being with his family. So I bought the whole headspace thing, and I think he is in a good place. This is a good team. I mean, you'd have to be a fool, and LeBron is no fool, not to feel good about going into this season with Luka Doncic, skinny Luka, on your team and the balance around them. Do I think it's the best, most complete roster ever? No, I do not. Do I think it's a good, solid roster and more solid than some of the rosters that the Lakers have put around LeBron in the years that they've had him here? Yes, I do. And I think that he has all kinds of things that he can be excited about. I think what's going to be interesting is he's playing on, in essence, an expiring contract for the first time ever in his career. And I just don't know how things, as the season wears on and the pressure mounts and the discussion, which will reach another fever pitch before the trade deadline of what's he going to do, I think that's when we might see a little bit more unevenness from him. But today it's like the first day of, everyone says the first day of baseball, anyone can win the pennant. I've seen LeBron over and over on 20 plus media days be enthusiastic and ready to go. And we saw nothing less from him today.
Yeah, he was asked about all the additions that the team made, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart. He brought up Jake LaRavia himself. I think he's looking around and seeing a team that probably has more depth than any of the teams he's had since his championship season. Yeah. And he's got a co-star, no disrespect to Anthony Davis, is the best co-star that he's ever had. And is able to take the lead with this team moving forward. He talked about, the advantages of not having to be on the ball quite so often. How the fact that it won't take as much toll on his body if he's given the ball up to Gabe Vincent and Marcus Smart and Austin Reeves and all the guys that the Lakers brought in this season. He just seemed completely at peace. And look, in a way, you and I have talked about this a lot. He probably should be. Like, he's in a great situation. Like, yeah, he's on an expiring contract for the first time that he's wanted to be. But it's not like the marketplace for him is going to be dried up in the summer of 2026. The marketplace is probably going to be robust for him in the summer.
Yeah, I guess you're right, by the way. I shouldn't say he's on an expiring contract for the last time, since he's obviously played with the mindset to be a free agent over the summer. I guess I meant an expiring contract where he didn't intend to be. So I should say it that way, for sure.
No, exactly.
I thought that was most interesting affecting LeBron's situation was the conversation that happened 3 days earlier at the Lakers with a different press conference that they had with JJ Redick and with Lakers brass. Rob Pelinka was there, and Rob was asked directly about LeBron. And, Rob's practiced at this, right? So he's given the same kind of answer a few different times. And he says something about, it's up to LeBron to decide LeBron's future. We would never presume, right? Oh, my stars. We would never presume to influence what LeBron is going to do. That's a LeBron thing. LeBron gets to decide. LeBron's earned that right, which of course is not an answer to a question about what the organization is going to do. So Dave McMenamin from ESPN asked him directly, saying, if LeBron would like to be on the Lakers roster past this season, would the Lakers like him to be on that roster? And instead of answering, Rob Pelinka said, we would love it if the story is that LeBron retires as a Laker. That would be a positive story. That is a very different thing of, do you want him on the roster in not this season, but next season? I thought that was fascinating. And I was surprised it didn't get picked up more, because he is really just not going to commit to anything beyond this year. And that is so new for a LeBron James team.
It's the right thing to do, though.
I'm not arguing with that. It's just really interesting that you have a guy,
I guess I didn't read
an all NBA level, right? Still, there's no arguing with that. Who is arguably the greatest player of all time, or in the top 3 or the top 5 or however you want to say it. And he's playing alongside Luka Doncic. And when asked directly, hey, if LeBron wants to be on your team past this year, would you want him? The answer is, we hope LeBron retires as a Laker, which is very different from what if he doesn't want to retire after his Lakers contract is up at the end of the season. And as someone like me and someone like you, frankly, who has covered LeBron's entire set of where's he going to play this derby? Where's he going to play that derby? The decision, who's going to get him here? He's taking free agent meetings in Las Vegas, and Pat Riley is dumping rings on tables and showing, power charts and all of the things. We now have a point where after all of these years of quote, who's going to get LeBron and where's LeBron going to get to go and where's he going to go and what's he going to decide? You have a team that is saying, nah, if he wants to be on our roster, we'll see.
Yeah, I think you and I are both agree that this is not going to be LeBron's final season. I think he's going to go for 25 years. I think that's the mark that he's going to aim for.
Oh, man.
Well, I also think maybe it's not 25, but I don't think LeBron is going to go out like Dirk and just announce before the last home game that he played that he was done. Everybody kind of knew Dirk was done at the end of that season, but he didn't formally announce it until the last home game in Dallas. I think LeBron's going to announce it's his final season before his final season. I think LeBron, for like content purposes, would love to get like a Netflix Last Dance kind of special and followed him around for his last season. I think LeBron is going to get the full retirement tour, which is, not unusual. Lots of guys do it. Kobe did it.
Bryant, right?
Yeah, Kobe did it. I mean, Derek Jeter did it. Like a lot of guys, did it and who have reached a certain level. He's earned that opportunity. But even though he kind of laughed off the idea of Bryce, and we don't even know if Bryce is an NBA player. He's playing down in Arizona for the first time, so we'll see there. I think my gut is he goes for a quarter century and tries to play 25 years, which would only be 2 more years. So
I just think it's going to be more about circumstances than it is about him or how he's feeling. For all of the stuff about I'll see how I feel and I have to talk to my family, I think this will come down to the circumstance of what the Lakers offer him and what his other options are. Because the truth is, if the Lakers say, sure, we actually would like you to be here for 1 more year, but it's a significantly different, pay strata, that you were going to take up significantly less of our cap room. We need to go sign so-and-so. We do want you around. Or maybe the Lakers have an opportunity at another big, huge star where there would be no room for LeBron as the third salary. So I think it will depend a little bit on if the Lakers do want him back after this season, at what salary they want him back at, whether he is willing to play for that salary or whether he wants to be a max player until the day he steps out of the league. And if the answer to those questions is not that, Lakers want him back and it's at a salary LeBron wants, I think the next stage of questions is going to be who else wants him and for how much. Because as much as I agree with you, I don't think he wants to be done after this year. The truth is, he's not going to go to Detroit and just go play out in some arena randomly in Toronto or in somewhere that's going to be like, oh my God, LeBron James, we will hand you a max no matter what. You decide everything. You do your thing. We just want LeBron James here. You're talking to someone who covered Michael Jordan in DC. I don't think LeBron is going to do that kind of thing.
No, I don't think he's going to do that either. I do think that it's obviously not just limited to whatever teams have cap space. If LeBron decides he wants to play for the Knicks want him, they'll find a way to make it work.
But do you think the Knicks are, again, and this is the irony, this is what is so fascinating. The Knicks would have killed for LeBron James. The Knicks, remember at the time of the decision, and then several injunctions after that, were dying to get LeBron James. If the Lakers decide they're not going to make LeBron the kind of offer that he wants after this coming season, do you think the Knicks are going to do that instead? I don't know.
I think it depends how he's playing. Like if he has the same, but if he has the same kind of year and he's second team All NBA, I don't care how old he is. Somebody's going to make a big time run at him. Like I think that's just a fact. Like I think he's going to have a lot of options.
Is it going to be a place he's going to want to go? A lot of options. See, that's the thing. What are the cities you think LeBron James would like to play in? We know LA, right? There's 2 teams in LA. You think that he'd want to play in New York?
I do.
Okay.
I think the allure of the Garden, Cleveland, go back there, come full circle.
So that's 3.
Would he stay in LA with the Clippers? I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. That might be it. So you're talking 3 or 4 that he'd want to play for.
Right.
Who are contending type teams. So he'd want to play for a contender.
Okay. So are those teams going to rip up enough of what they have to pay LeBron? And it'd have to be for a lot of money, right? LeBron's not going to leave LA and go to some new team to take a relatively small deal That's not what I see.
No, but listen. If you're New York, if you're the Knicks, and we're going way down the rabbit hole here, right? Because we're talking about next season. But if you're the Knicks and you get beat in the second round by like Orlando, and somebody brought this up to me like about the Desmond Bane deal.
Go ahead.
I do love Orlando, but like somebody brought this up to me with the Bane deal, where it's like if Orlando was in the Western Conference, they never make that Bane deal. Because getting Desmond Bane doesn't make you a contender in the Western Conference. Because you're in the East, you're willing to fork over 4 first-round draft picks and whatever filler to make the deal work with Memphis. If you're the Knicks and you get beat in the second round, you've got kind of an aging superstar in Jalen Brunson, who's right around that 30 range, kind of an aging guy in Karl Anthony Towns. You're not talking about 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds anymore. Like maybe you do say, all right, well, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, like whatever it takes to do a deal, a sign and trade type of deal with the Lakers for LeBron James. Like because you're in that conference, you're playing by a different set of rules.
I think that I'm not saying the Knicks wouldn't do it. I'm not saying that no team would do it. I'm just saying that as everyone sits here and plays the LeBron Derby as we go into this season, and he sits up at media day and says, I don't know, I'm closer to the end than the beginning. That's the line he's had for the last few years. I think we have to realize that the landscape of what's available to him at the end of this year, and we just don't know what that's going to be. That's what, to me, is going to determine how much longer LeBron plays, because I think there are only a certain set of circumstances that he will play under. And we just don't know if those circumstances will exist. What if the Lakers make it to the finals this year, right? Yeah. He's going to probably feel differently about LA and taking less money. And there could be a spin about, I just want to stay here and finish the job in LA. And I'm going to take, Noble LeBron can take a big, huge pay cut. And that can be the story that gets told.
Get himself a nice, and he can endorse
a tree company.
A tree company, yeah. So you can
exactly. So we'll just have to see.
You own a piece of the Dodgers. It's nice.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled he's in the league this year. The league is a better place with LeBron James in it. I think more people are interested in the NBA with LeBron James in it. And I am fascinated. I cannot call where this Lakers team is going to end up. I think it is interesting that as we've seen the Houston Rockets take a big hit with Fred VanVleet going out, that people haven't really talked about how that would shake up the rest of the top of the Western Conference. People were plotting the Rockets as a finalist, possibly.
Can I give you a quick hot take on the Rockets as an aside?
Give it to me.
I'm not so sure how crushing this VanVleet injury is. Like I obviously want to have him, but he shot 37% from the floor last year. Like, and I get it. He's a veteran on a team full of young guys. But what the Rockets are going to do is put Amen Thompson as the one. They're going to start him there. All Amen Thompson has to do is like bring the ball past the half court line. Like that's all he has to do is like get the team into its offense, and he's done his job. And on the other end, you benefit enormously from having a 6'7" maven on the defensive end. Like they are going to be elite defensively with that type of lineup. And then you kind of hope that, Reed Shepherd figures his stuff out and can be the 3rd overall pick he was last year. I know that like there was a lot of sky is falling stuff when the VanVleet injury happened. Yes, it hurts. There's no doubt about it. He's a pro. Guys look up to him in that locker room. But on the court, I think he's replaceable with that team. It takes there's some unknown there. But I think by like mid-season, you can be like, Amen Thompson can handle this. We drafted him as kind of a lead guard. He told me when I was in Houston last week that he worked on lead guard stuff. Like that was what he was trying to do this offseason. Reed Shepherd, the dude shot 52% in college from 3. Like you can't forget how to shoot. You're not going to get the yips forever. Like if he can just be good enough to be a quality backup, I still think that team's in play. I still think that team is very much in play in the West.
Markelle Fultz wants your phone number, but anyway.
That's my hot take on the Rockets.
Look, I just think that the Lakers remain a super interesting team. I think that they might not be done yet. We might see what happens, as they tinker toward the trade deadline. And I think it's going to be very interesting. LeBron would like nothing more than to finish this story off with a ring. We know how desperate Luka is to prove to everyone, including the Dallas Mavericks, what he can do, that he's going to win a ring before they do. So I don't know, man. I think LA is a team to watch.
Last thing on the Lakers, and you were at the media veil with Rob and with JJ. JJ Redick getting a contract extension after his first year was really interesting to me. Like, and I looked at that, and one of my first thoughts was like, this feels like a power chess move by Rob Pelinka. Like, there's going to be a new owner in LA. Like, Mark Walter is going to take over the team at some point. And everybody I talk to about Mark Walter and his managerial style, maybe you know more about it than I do, but it's like he kind of waits and sees for a year, sees how things go, and then makes any decisions. Like Rob extending JJ was in some ways like Rob extending himself. Like Rob and JJ are kind of intertwined here. Like Rob hired him, now he's handing him the keys to the kingdom. Like he has created there's no space between these two guys. They are in lockstep with each other right now. And whatever he gave for an extension, like I've heard different versions of it. Again, maybe a team option on the back end of that. You pick up the team option, give an extra year, something like that. But he gets 2 more guaranteed years on his deal. I looked at that as being a power chess move by Rob Pelinka. Because I don't know any other reason than to give JJ an extension. He already had years left on his deal. He coached the team for 1 year. Like, I don't know. If Jeannie Buss was still the owner of this team, the majority owner of this team, does that extension happen? I'm not so sure. That's that's another hot take. I got 2 hot takes today on this one on the Lakers.
I feel like she actually extended Rob Pelinka himself earlier than
she did, and that's a move. Like that happens, Rachel, all the time when you're about to sell a team, right? Like you want to take care of your people.
No. I mean, the first time around, I feel. I mean, we could go back and look, but I feel like Rob's extension the first time around came a little earlier than we expected to. So in terms of the Lakers' past habits, I don't know. I do think that in a time of change, there's definitely an instinct to show stability and sort of lock contracts in and make people both inside, by the way, as you point out, upward to the executive offices and outside the organization feel like this is our team. Here we go. If Rob really was trying to save himself, the more typical GM or president move is to leave the coach hanging so there's someone available to fire that isn't them.
That's a way, yeah.
Right? When there's a new owner.
That's a way to do it.
That comes in. So I'm not sure that was the reason for the move. I think that, I think everyone in the organization is very happy with JJ. I know that he fits in very well with the people in the building. And this is a team that went through, 6 coaches in 8 years? I think having a little stability is actually a very smart thing for them to do.
I get it, but he had stability. He was under contract theoretically they had control of him for 3 more years. He had stability with this team. And look, not for nothing, I actually think JJ's going to be a pretty good coach. I think he's got it wired there. They got their ass kicked in the playoffs, right? Yeah. And there were games he was out-coached in, like going all starters in the second half against Minnesota. What was that, game 3 or 4? Like, that was ridiculous. So, I don't know. I just thought Rob is a very, very smart guy and a very shrewd operator. And I say that as a compliment. Like, going back to his agent days to now as an executive, I think there was more to it than just establishing consistency within this team. That's just my hot take there. I'm out of hot takes for today's show.
I don't believe that.
I do. Well, I don't have a hot take here because I'm depressed about this next topic, Rachel.
I was going to say, I think you have a hot take. You just don't like your own hot take.
I don't. The Philadelphia 76ers.
We were excited. 2 weeks ago, we were excited. A week ago, we were excited.
Last week, I went to Sixers Media Day. It was early because the Sixers are now in Abu Dhabi, part of the NBA's international tour. And you and I have discussed the Sixers. I have been overwhelmingly bullish on the Philadelphia 76ers. I thought that they were being underestimated. They were being overlooked. I told you when I got to New York to spend my time with Jason Tatum, I was going to hammer the over on the number of wins. I hammered the over, Rachel. 42.5. I hammered the over. Hammered the over on wins. And then Media Day rolls around, and I'm sitting there, and Joel Embiid comes out, and it's immediately all this stuff that you heard last year. Like I don't know when he's going to be available to play. We're checking all the boxes. We're taking it day by day. Like he might as well have had the cliche handbook in front of him going, yep, checking all the boxes day by day, doing the best that we can, listening to the doctors, all these things that really told you nothing about where he's at. Like, I guess, he's not, or at least I don't think he's playing full contact 5-on-5. I know Paul George isn't there yet as he comes back from his knee injury. I don't know, like the Sixer alarms went off. Embiid, a little shaky on his status. Paul George, shaky on his status. Jared McCain, already hurt, gets hurt again with a tear in his hand this time, freak injury. Quentin Grimes, still unsigned. If you believe the agent, there is a country mile between what the Sixers want to pay Quentin Grimes and what Quentin Grimes wants to be paid. I don't know. I swear to God, I was sitting there in Camden at the Sixers facility listening to Embiid, and I'm going like, I might need another job to to pay off
to pay off the money you put into
pay off
the over being on the
the
Sixers?
over on the 76ers, going all in, chips in on the 76ers. Were you alarmed by what you heard coming out of Philadelphia?
I was disappointed, man. I mean, we've had a lot of time. I thought he had the surgery a little later than I expected. You know, he didn't play for months before he had the surgery in the spring. And I was disappointed that time sort of passed by, which was going to edge into this time. I would like to have heard something more definitive. I would have liked to have heard just a little more, and I've talked about this for weeks, a little more comfort from Embiid, just in his voice sounding as if, yeah, I can do this.
There was no comfort there. There was no confidence. There was nothing.
I'll have to see how it is. We'll see how it feels. You know, the goal is the end of the season. Look, you know, this could be, it's a possibility that this is the first chapter to a story that goes, they were really cautious at the beginning of the year. He didn't get hurt. By the time it was February, he was playing regularly. And by the time it was playoffs, looks, that's, 5 or 6 months and he was ready to go. That could be the first chapter of that book. That book is hard to find, though. That book is checked out at the library because it can also be the first chapter of, and the Sixers season was a disaster again. And there's plenty of those books sitting around. So we'll have to see, but it wasn't encouraging. And I was bummed out, man, because, Joel Embiid is a good guy and it has been a tough career with all of these injuries. And there are a lot of people around the Sixers who work very hard and do a lot. I mean, Nick Nurse is a good coach. He was coach of the year. And there is a promising young core there. And I just, it'd be nice to have another really competitive team in the East. And it was disappointing to hear that, at least from the beginning, we're probably not going to get that.
Yeah. Look, there are reasons to believe that it can all come together. I think Paul George in year 2 is going to be more comfortable in his role than he was last season, because that was part of the struggle last year. Injuries were the biggest part, but the role was part of the struggle. I thought it was encouraging for Philadelphia. He was asked specifically about playing power forward with this team, and he embraced that. He's like, this is kind of where I'm at this point. That's a good sign for Philadelphia, because you need to get something close to the all-star from 2 years ago back from Paul George. I think Tyrese Maxey's going to have an awesome year. He was talking about how the offseason he had about the year before, because of his contract status, he couldn't go full bore early on. This one, full bore. He was leading a lot of stuff, off-season activities. He's clearly embraced that role with the team. I think he's going to get right back to that all-star level this year. I think if McCain can misses 4 weeks of the regular season, he's going to be a factor with this team. If you can get Grimes back in, he can be a factor again with this team. They are 8-9 deep with real quality playoff
You're talking
worthy.
yourself back into
I'm not, because here's the punchline. None of it matters. None of it matters if Joel Embiid is a part-time player or if he's just dragging that leg up and down the floor in the games that he's playing. Now, I look, the days of him playing 60-plus games are long gone. But I wrote this in my column, he's got to get to 50, because you got to develop chemistry with these guys. You can't just microwave it and say just because your talent level exceeds that of most other teams in the Eastern Conference that you can just automatically expect to win. They've got to get him out there 50, 55 games, healthy going into the playoffs and ready to go. And this is, I said this last week, say it again, the most important season maybe in 76ers history. I'm going to go that far. Maybe in Philadelphia 76ers history. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Somebody will remind me on Twitter. I'm sure that I'm screwing up. They're a much more important one. But there's no Boston this year, Rachel. There's no Indiana this year. Cleveland is a flawed team. Orlando is a flawed team. New York is a flawed team. The upper tier of the Eastern Conference, they're all beatable. And Philadelphia, their talent level is as good or better than everybody else in the conference. But they need Joel to be something close to Joel. He can't be the 44% shooter from last year who averaged 11 points per game, less than he did the year before. He's got to be out there, healthy, being Joel Embiid. If he is, they're going to be great. If he's not, they're going to be awful. Once again.
It's also just they have to have more clarity in the organization. And I didn't hear that on media day either, which was, again, a bummer and sad, because last year, one of the problems internally was that the other players, the coaches, they didn't feel like they knew. It almost turned into a Kawhi Leonard Spurs situation, right? Where it was sort of like Joel's and his team are the only ones who know whether he's going to play that night. And coaches didn't know what to do with their lineups and things like that. And I just think that caused a lot of bad feelings, right? And we heard about a few of those stories. And if that is the situation again this year, if it's I don't know if I'm going to play or not, and no one knows, and we don't know until he warms up and all of that, I think that is going to be very sort of derisive in terms of inside the locker room and what happens there. And I just worry if that's the setup again. So my hope for that team is some clarity. Regardless of what Joel can and can't do, I just think that the organization from the top needs to draw some pretty clear lines of, hey, even if it's shoot around, you can't walk out of shoot around and say you're not playing, right? So that at least everybody gets there to the game, to the arena, and knows what they're doing. There's always another game tomorrow. It's the NBA.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting where he said that he may have to adjust his game to be, it's kind of saying more one-dimensional. I'm putting words in his mouth a little bit there, but he said, like, maybe I can't go full bore on both ends of the floor the way that I want to. Whatever it takes. Like, when he comes back, it's got to be consistent. It's got to be like skip the 3 games in 4 nights, skip one of those games. Don't play in back-to-backs. We get all that. That's part of, maintenance for a player at this stage and with this injury. But there can't be like 3-week stretches where he's out dealing with swelling in the knee. That is going to be a death knell to this 76ers season. So, I hope I don't lose that bet, because that's a bet that I can win. If he plays 60 games, they're going to win like 45
We're going
at
to just track this throughout the season.
I know. All right, last thing for you, and it wouldn't be a podcast with you and I if we weren't talking about Milwaukee and something to do with the Giannis Antetokounmpo saga. Giannis was not at Media Day, not because he's boycotting the Bucks, but because he has COVID-19, and he's over in Greece still battling that. But he did a virtual Media Day with Bucks reporters, and he kind of confirmed the reporting that ESPN and others was putting out there, that he was weighing his options all summer long, trying to figure out what he was going to do next. And didn't, look, I know the Bucks, I think Wes Edens, the owner, kind of made it sound like he gave a pledge of allegiance. It doesn't sound like he did that. It sounds like he still has the same position. I am here to compete for championships. If he can compete for championships in Milwaukee, great. But again, this underscores the importance of this season in Milwaukee. They've got to do something here. They cannot be the same old Bucks where they're finishing as the 5 seed and get beat in the first round, because that is 100% going to be the end of Giannis in Milwaukee.
Look, we've had kind of boring trade deadlines the last few years, and there's been a lot more talk about, the real trade season's in the summer, and then we had kind of a boring summer. I am curious whether pre-trade deadline is going to really heat up with some big names. Giannis is obviously one that could get named. I, as everyone knows, hope he stays in Milwaukee. I have been the flag bearer on that to you for this entire summer.
You have. You want him to be like 80 years old. Yeah. You want him to be like the Bob Cousy of the Bucks is what you want.
However, I think that what Giannis said today.
Shout out Kuz, still living, still kicking around.
There you go. I just don't think you can take too much into it. Yes, he confirmed that he was looking at other options, but in the same sentence, literally in the same breath, he said, I do that every summer. I then did that the summer before that and the summer before that. So how are we supposed to read into that? He also said, quote, my confidence is at an all-time high right now. All time. This is the team that won the title. He is apparently all time. The confidence is now instead with this team. He says, I feel really good about myself. I feel really good about the team, and I'm excited to be there. I really believe in this team. I think we're a very, very dangerous team, end quote. So if you're looking on paper at what he said, if you were listening to that he sounded very sniffly. I felt bad for him. Press conference, press availability.
It's a tough COVID diagnosis. I haven't seen that kind of COVID illness in a while.
You can read into anything if you want to. I think it's just going to come down to, again, circumstance. How are the Bucks doing in January? Because if it's a disaster in a wide open East, I think that is going to force Giannis to think about things in a way that he hasn't before. If they're doing okay, I think that he's going to maintain my confidence is an all-time high, Giannis, and see where they go. We'll have to see. But again, we love to make these predictions. We're going to have to see where the chips have fallen at that point. And I think that's going to be true of some of the biggest names, whether it's LeBron James, whether it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. We could see some shifts during the season, which we haven't seen so far in the last few years.
The all-time confidence stuff was an interesting line, because I don't know what he's looking at there. I mean, like, he's had, the team that added Drew Holiday was clearly one built to win. The team that swapped Drew out for Damian Lillard was clearly built to win. Like, he must have an overwhelming,
I don't know. He's got COVID.
Overwhelming confidence in Kyle Kuzma, Gary Trent, and Kevin Porter Jr. Like,
there's
that
some
must be
Europe at play. Who knows? Who could say?
I don't know. Hey, he's got the Thanasis back though. Hey, maybe you see him in play a little bit more this year. I don't know. I think you're right. I think it is. But it could potentially shape a very interesting trade deadline, because if they're under 500 and looking like they're floundering, as you pointed out many times, they're not going to do something unilaterally. They're going to need him to go to them and have that conversation. But if they're under 500, there's an opportunity. I don't know. It's something they're going to may have to look at if they're in that type of situation. Anyway. All right, Rachel, good stuff. I feel like I got a lot off my chest on this episode. So
I think you did. I think this was a good
couple of hot
Christmas
takes, couple of hot takes, some confessional, and we will be back doing it again next week.
See you soon.